Right. Shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Waharaka Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I honor you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, this guy, Matt Walsh, man, he doubling down. There was an individual that made this post. Let's check. It says, your so-called white supremacists, which they are, and this the truth. All Edomites are so-called white supremacists. That's that's just how it goes. They believe that they're superior to everyone else. They're narcissistic in nature and covetous. That's the nature of the devil. All right, envy and greed, pride. Says the arriving of those settlers, as he called them, brought disease and brute violence towards those tribes, which is exactly what they did. All right, which is supposed to be the opposite of the Christian doctrine they claim to believe in, which is their hallmark of moral superiority. All right, which is just a farce. Anyway, your civilization is built on slavery and colonization. All right, rape, robbery, murder, torture. All right, skullduggery, underhandedness, deceit. All right, criminal activity. Yeah, your civilization is built on slavery and colonization. Your values are a farce. Yeah, because you see these Edomites, especially these right, where the left, their values are completely in the mud, and so is the right. The right are the biggest hypocrites. These right wing Christians, that have this moral high ground from where, right? Their value system is a farce because they haven't lived by those values. They didn't succeed by those values. All right, they succeed in the earth by being ungodly, by being wicked. That's how they gained the supremacy. They didn't gain the supremacy they didn't gain the supremacy by being virtuous, being good and wholesome and charitable. You know what I'm saying? Get the hell out of here. Your values are a farce, and even the religion you profess was nothing else but a tool of violence. Yeah, they utilized and weaponized Christianity as a form of deception against our people. Right? Now, Matt Walsh replied, white settlers, right, could not have brought brute violence to the Indians. They already had that in abundance. So you see what this is the whole thing now of black, what about black on black crime? This this is the devil's get out of jail free card, Indians was killing Indians. The old you is wicked too, which ain't gonna work. You see, even right, if I go into Esau's court system, right, and I've been accused of murder, like let's say you got some gang member, right? You got a gang member. I'm a member of the Bloods, that's for instance, right? And I go shoot up some Crips, right? Right, shut up some Crips, take their corner. Now I'm slanging the rock on their corner, whatever the verbiage is these days. Okay, I get caught. Esau takes me into the court system, and I say, look, Your Honor. At the end of the day, them Crips were shooting each other. Before I took that corner, they had beef with some other Crips. They were shooting each other before I got there, and I shot them up. Would that be a reasonable defense? Would Esau go, oh yeah, well, fair enough, fair dues, isn't it? Fair dues. No, they wouldn't. Like, you cannot say, oh well, these people were doing wickedness, so I came and I did wickedness, and that makes it okay. It doesn't make it okay. And we're gonna get it in the scriptures. right? You could point towards Jake's wickedness all you like. Of course, Jake was wicked. First of all, so here is an account, right? Just gonna prove that the very reason that you Edomites were able to do what you did to the tribe of Gad and to the tribe of Reuben was because they were breaking the law, statutes, commandments of the Heavenly Father. It is true that some people do romanticize the natives of the Americas and as if they were some perfect angelic beings, and then the devil just came. And no, that's not true. They were not perfect. You know, had they been committing wickedness against each other, yes. Had they gone into the way of idolatry and different things of that nature, yes. All right. Otherwise, Esau wouldn't have been able to overcome them because of what I'm about to read right now. So then said Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, let my lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant. I will not declare unto thee the truth concerning this people, which dwelleth near thee, and inhabiteth the hill countries, and there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. This people are descended of the Chaldeans, right? They say that because Abraham came from the region of Chaldea. Chaldea was a region, right? And you had different city states that was in that Chaldean region, right? Of the Chaldees. The was one of the cities that was in the Chaldean area. Same with Akkad, same with Babylon, all right? Sumer, all right? And they sojourned here in Mesopotamia because they would not follow the gods of their fathers and were in the land of Chaldea, which were in the land of Chaldea, sorry. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the God of heaven, the God whom they knew. So they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. Then their God commanded them to depart from the place wherein they sojourned and to go into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt and were increased with gold and silver and very much cattle. Okay, so that's Jacob and all them. And then he's gonna talk about Egypt, and we don't have to read everything. Right, let's just skip straight to the point. When we came into the land, it says, and they cast forth before them the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite, and the Shechemite, and all the Girgasites, and they dwelt in the country many days. And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered. So as a people, once we are perfect in the sight of our Lord, we prosper. All right, that's the Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through to 14, or through to 15, if you want to say that. Right, you will prosper by that's the covenant, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way, right, which is righteousness, which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. The reason why these things happened to the Israelites wasn't because we were a good people, it's because we were bad in the sight of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So the same thing applies to the natives of the Americas. If they were doing righteousness in the sight of the Lord, then Esau, Edom, the devil, wouldn't have been able to come and overcome them. But the reason they were overcome by the devil is because they were in transgression. So we're not here to romanticize our people, but that does not acquit or justify Esau, Edom, and that's what they don't understand, that you are not justified. Okay, let's just hit verse 20. It says, now therefore, my Lord Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. Now, the reason why the Lord didn't defend our brothers Gad and Reuben and the rest of the northern tribes against the invading hordes of Edomites was because they weren't right, man. But that don't justify you, Esau. And this has always been when anything happens, Esau wants to sling mud. But you're not gonna. That's not how you're not gonna be justified like that. You're still gonna have to pay. It doesn't work like that, Esau. Oh well, they were doing this. Okay, cool. But what did you do? This is what we need to know. Right? It says the Indian way of settling land disputes was to send out a war party in the middle of the night to slaughter you in your sleep. This is according to Matt Walsh. Rape your wife and children and take them as property. Take a few men as captive just to torture them for fun. Possibly rip out a few organs and devour them, and then take your land and call it their own. Even if they did do all of this, you're still not justified. And I'm going to show you, like in the scriptures, you're still not justified. You're still the devil. That was how territories were established for literally thousands of years. Not thousands, they weren't over in the land for thousands of years. That shows you got your wires crossed. That's why you can't trust Esau. Before any white man set foot there, they weren't in the land for thousands of years. Before Esau got there. Alright? But you know Esau, man. Alright? No one's saying that violence was a foreign concept to our people. What we're saying is that's what you brought. You brought violence, and so that's what you're gonna reap. All right, hold on. And I want to read this part. It says with that this brother said, actually, America was built by neither immigrants nor settlers. It was built by illegal invaders who came here without permission from the local population, committed genocide on them, and utilized enslaved free labor to build it, which is true. Now, Matt ain't gonna like that because it's condemnable. He gonna try and nice it off. It says without permission. Permission from who exactly? Was this entire hemisphere owned by a ragtag assortment of warring Stone Age tribes? You see, let me read that again. You see? Esau gonna have to. It don't matter whether we was. First of all, there's no such thing as Stone Age, by the way. But it don't matter what age you want to talk about. If there's people living there, there's people living there. Remove not thy neighbor's landmark. Yeah, without permission. What he's basically saying is these people are inferior. So I suppose this is the Christian way of thinking. If someone is inferior, then you don't have to respect them. You could do whatever you want because you're superior, right? Says without permission from who exactly? Right? So no one, Esau don't need to get permission from no one because he's just that superior. When the Bible tells you the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So if the Lord had given it on to our people, who are you to then come and take it because you feel you're superior? It says, was this entire hemisphere owned by a ragtag assortment of warring Stone Age tribe? Was the advance of civilization supposed to stop indefinitely at the old Atlantic Ocean? So there's the only civilization that is to be acknowledged is the Edomite civilization. And it has a right to override and to roll over anyone else. This is what he's saying here. And these are these good right-wing Christians, man. But God loves everybody, right? It says why the indigenous came here and killed each other over the land for centuries. No, they didn't. No, they didn't come there and kill each other over the land for centuries. They didn't meet anybody. Hold on. Right, this is 2 Ezra 13. When they went over to the New World, there wasn't nobody there. They didn't go and kill no one and steal their land. The land was uninhabited and they took it for themselves. Right? This is 2 Ezra 13 and 14. It says, but they took this counsel. Yeah, so like, I have to quickly sort something out. Right, let me read this. It said, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, because at that time, all the peoples pretty much were living in the landmass of Asia, right? It's a landmass which is all connected. When you look at Africa, Europe, Asia, They're really all one landmass. If you look on a map, you can walk from Europe, technically, to anywhere in Africa and anywhere in Asia, because it's all one big landmass. All right. That's where all the people were during that time. They weren't over there in the Americas yet. Okay. So they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go further into a further country, right? A different landmass where never mankind dwelt. So unlike you, Esau, they went and took upon themselves a land where no man had dwelt, right? And it's recorded that they migrated north across the Mississippi. So they really started off in South America, and then the different tribes migrated up north and took the land as they went. And then Gad and Reuben took North America onto themselves, all the way up into Alaska and all them place there. All right. Excuse me. All right. So that's the difference. Now, would there, over the process of time, been infighting among them? Probably, Jake. But again, that's not a justification for you. That's internal. That's between us. That's got nothing to do with you. You should have stayed out of it. Now you're going to have to pay. All right. Now, what was the purpose of them going over to that land? That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. All right. And they entered into the Euphrates, and by the narrow places of the river, for the Most High shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely 1.5 years. And the same region is called Asareth, which means another land, which that's what the Americas is. It's another landmass. All right. So there's a difference. Okay. It says why the indigenous came here, and he's highlighting indigenous. All right, which they are indigenous because they laid claim to that land first. But you see, here's anyway, this devil, man. The indigenous came here and killed each other over the land for centuries. Why exactly should the Europeans have stayed out of that fray? Because it's got nothing to do with you. What moral or legal right did the Stone Age, he keeps saying Stone Age people, because scientific racism, this is a way to legitimize, this is eugenics basically. If you are the more evolved or the superior people, superior civilization, then you have a right to basically dominate and commit crimes against the so-called inferior races. This is scientific racism, and we told you that it's coming back in a big way. They're justified because these guys are Stone Age. Put and insert any name you want to put. They're ghetto. Stone Age, ghetto, whatever you want to say. Dumb. They're dumber. They're stupid. They're savage. They're primeval. Whatever, man. What moral or legal right did the Stone Age people have to possess an entire hemisphere of the earth, even as they slaughtered and tortured each other over the same territory? Well, they had the right because they claimed that land for themselves. They didn't steal it from anyone else. Right? There was Gad among Gad, Reuben among Reuben, Issachar among Issachar. They were all Israelites. It had nothing to do with you. You should have stayed out of it, and I'm going to prove it. All right? I mean, you do what you want, Esau, and you're going to do what you want, but I'm just telling you that you made a big mistake, my man. You made a big mistake. And unfortunately, there's no remedy. All right? There ain't no easy way out of this one for you, mate. So I'm going to go to Obadiah. I'm going to get straight to the point. This is what the scriptures say. Start from verse 8. It says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the amount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. And that's what's coming. See, Matt Walsh, he don't understand that. He don't know that. You get me? The pride has blinded them. But that's what's coming. See, you've been justifying yourself for so long, and you've had the upper hand for so long, that you really think that you just ain't gonna pay. Like nobody can make you pay. So you're just flapping off at the gums, moving hella bold, hella proud. Yo, it's a terrible thing, you know. It's a terrible, terrible. You know, life is terrible. The Lord created a world where that is heaven and hell. Two people can be in the same place, and the other person's in heaven, and the other person's in hell. Two and two against each other. This earth can really be hell. And there's levels to hell. Right? The Lord could put you in a situation where you pray for death. You pray that death comes and removes you. That's how you know this hell is here on earth. People pray for death, you know. Beg for it. Please. Just kill me. That's how mad this place could be. The fact you got people jumping off bridges. People, listen, this place is hell for some people, you know. Esau gonna find out the reality of hell, man. It's gonna be peak, boy. Anyway, verse 10, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob. No, but Jacob committed violence against other Jacob. But Jacob did this. The scripture tells you there's no condemnation in them which are in Yahweh Shai, man. Jacob is gonna be blameless in the end of this thing. That's what you don't get. You could sling. You said, this is the accuser of our brethren, man. We overcame him through the blood of the Lamb. Through the blood of Yahweh Shai, there's no, all charges are dropped, Your Honor. Exonerated. You don't know what's going on out here. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob shame shall cover thee. See, he trying to duck and dive from the shame. Trying to redirect and you know, change definitions and yeah, well, they were doing this and bro, you're guilty, bro. You're guilty. In the court of the Lord, you're guilty, man, and you're gonna have to pay. It said, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. That's a long time. You're finished out here. It says, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. So you came against, man. But thou shouldest not have. Period. That's it. You shouldest not. Yo, dog. It said, thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger. Right? You shouldn't even, yo, this is serious. You shouldn't even have looked over here. You shouldn't even have looked over what man were doing over anywhere. Mind your business. You leave the Israelites alone, because the Israelites is like a grenade. You're playing with a grenade, man. You're playing with a grenade, and it's gonna blow up in your face. Right? Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, and as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. So all this jibber jabbering that Matt Walsh is doing, twisting and turning, trying to maintain the supremacy on every level. They're trying to maintain moral supremacy, intellectual supremacy, because these devils really think that they can speak you in circles, and bro, ain't nobody ain't got time for all of that. You're going into condemnation, man. Thus saith the Lord, man. All that talking you're doing, all that jibber jabbering, all right. You're going in like you're too bad about who permission from who? Some Stone Age trap. That you say? All right then. It's pride, bro. That's why it says pride cometh before a fall. Man says some Stone Age tribes, you know. All right then. Remember you said it, you know, not me. Remember you said it. Proud as you like. This is the book of Sirach 5:1. Set thy heart upon thy goods, and say not, I have enough for my life. Follow not thine own mind. Right? You man are gassed, drinking your own Kool-Aid, your own narcissism, your own ego. And I'll be watching a lot of these crime channels, man, where they're showing like the police and detectives interviewing guilty people, man. And a lot of times, you know what catches these people out? Their own pride. And it's always the guys that think that they're the smartest person in the room, like they got everything under control. They're the ones that the detectives love the most. They don't like stupid people who know they're stupid, because stupid people who know they're stupid, right? They get a lawyer and they lawyer up quick. The detectives love when you get them egotistical, narcissistic psychopaths, because they love to talk, and they think they could talk their way out of everything because they're so smart. They're so intelligent. They think they're the smartest person in the room. And them and the man, they always catch. Guaranteed. Because they don't know when to shut the hell up and lawyer up. I was watching one, and the guy even said that his lawyer told him not to talk to the police, but he was talking to the police anyway. That's the level of ego and arrogance. And that's what you Edomites have. He was supposed to have some 200 IQ. You man are too arrogant, and that's your downfall. All right, follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart, and the ways of the scriptures. The heart of man is desperately wicked, and you Edomites truly are wicked. The ways of your heart is carnal, man. And say not, who shall control me for my works? That's what he was saying, like some Stone Age tribe. We're not taking no talk from no man. That's what they were saying. Not take no check, not take no talk. Like I was, some Stone Age tribe gonna stop us from doing what we want to do. We just take what we want, man. So what? You know what I'm saying? We do what we want. So what? We come up with whatever excuse we want. So what? What you gonna do about it? That's basically the spirit they're in, right? It says here, for the Lord will surely revenge thy pride. Say not, I have sinned, and what harm have happened unto me? For the Lord is long suffering; he will in no wise let thee go. And so the time is fast approaching, yeah. Where you Edomites, man, boy, oh boy, you're gonna get a rude awakening, man, because you're gonna find out that you're not the top of the food chain out here. You're not the most high. You forgot that. You're not the one that's running this show. You ain't the one that's writing the script. You ain't the producer, the director, and the script writer out here. You just an actor in this thing. You're gonna find out. Cause the tune you're about to dance to ain't got no rhythm, trust me. You're finished out here, star. But keep it up. Boy, oh boy. Shalom.